See, today we are going to talk about basically structuring your presentation. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. Again, we are going to focus a little bit more on what is useful for us rather than what's a generic presentation. Okay, so these are a bit different, and so we are going to focus how we are going to present and what are our needs as opposed to a generic public speaking presentation. Okay, so I also have a presentation which there is a bit of an overlap, but I think we will have a little more overlap on how you conduct meetings. Okay, rather than how you do a public presentation, but there's obviously an overlap. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. So here, basically, I think the reason why I chose this particular joke is that you can see, how you can potentially structure your presentation. So it gives you a typical sort of how people plan their presentation, and obviously things go wrong. Obviously, they go way wrong. All right, and you'll get very limited time, etc. But typically, see, you introduce yourself, describe the outline. Right, if you are making a presentation like
hello. Hello.
I think we lost him. Chetan will connect back. Just
I hope I'm back, guys. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. I don't know until when you heard me, basically. So basically, I was just until when did you guys hear me, guys?
I think it went wrong. Basically, we planned for a session, it went wrong.
Things go wrong, right? So yeah, basically, the previous speaker typically eats into your time. that happens quite a bit. For Jagadish and I, it was the other way around. They vacated the space for us a little earlier, right,
yeah.
Jagadish?
True.
Right. So the technical difficulties, sometimes, many times that happen. I think it's very common. Sometimes I've seen presentations go completely in a different direction because of that. So you don't introduce yourself. Things are like they get jumbled, right? So yeah. Anyway, so that's the thing. But in any case, in our case, also a lot of things can go wrong. So we have to plan, what we are going to do. Okay. So typically, see, if you look at any session, so I'll actually stop sharing because I don't have a lot of stuff to share here. When there is material to share, I will share it back again. Okay. I think I have to actually. Alright, I have it right here. Okay. So I have a presentation from someone that I'm using at this point in time. So I can share that again with you guys. Okay. So so basically, see. All right, there you go. That's the one. Okay. So so whenever you prepare and structure your presentation, so at the minimum you're really thinking of the following pieces. Okay, so how do I start, right? What are the various pieces, and what sort of comes at the end? Okay, this is probably more for a generic presentation, and I'll walk you through that, and then we'll come into a little bit more relevant stuff related to us. Okay, so there you go. So this is the typical structure that most people follow. Okay, I think if you look at some of the presentations that Bill Clinton has made. Bill Clinton, by the way, he's one of the brilliant speakers that you will come across. Okay, I think I'm sure he has made a lot of presentations and a lot of meetings, but one presentation that he made, one talk actually that he made in the Democratic Convention. This was in 2016 when Obama came up for re-election. So I think during that time, one thing really great happened. I think that's sort of worth watching. So I think even the Democrats weren't really sure, what is the pitch they should make, to the people to re-elect Obama. Okay, and in that context, Bill Clinton made a supporting speech in the Democratic Convention, where he said, because he comes with his own presidential experience, and he said, "Hey, see, 4 years are just not sufficient for anybody to make a difference." Okay, so for that reason, and of course, there was a lot of progress that has gotten made, but 4 years are not sufficient, and you'll not be able to undo all the damage that the previous governments have done. And so we need to have 4 more years. And I think that sort of became the rallying point from then on. It sort of made a big difference to the people, and then they re-elected Obama. And this is how I see it. It may not be how a lot of other people see it, but I somehow feel that they got new conviction at that point, because they seemed to be a little doubtful, and then it made a difference to how people thought about the campaign and so on and so forth. And there is one other, actually, I think 8 years prior to that, Barack Obama gave a Democratic Convention speech, okay, which is, I think, a cornerstone in his, not just in his career, but because he became president, and he was the president for 8 years, actually. It became a cornerstone in the history of the US as well. I think that's also worth watching. But anyway, so I think they are very well structured talks, okay? And typically most people have an opening, the body or how you structure it, and the summary, okay? So I think this is, so in the, the Kindle sort of book that I forwarded yesterday, it makes a very good point. See, at the beginning of the presentation, everybody has your attention, okay, which is true. That's not how I thought about it, because once the presenter sort of changes, everybody is looking, and you're getting an opportunity, and that's the case even in our talks as well. In fact, in our conversations, in our meetings that we have, you have attention. Attention is not a problem, okay, because the client wants you to perform, and they want you to do well, and so on. So you have the attention. But in most presentations, it is very likely that you will see that beyond the first few minutes, people are doing their own thing, okay? So you have to keep the attention, and during the first few minutes, you have the attention, and that's a great thing for it to happen. So you got to be clear what exactly you want to convey, and you have a great opportunity to tell them that, hey, it is worth listening to me, okay? It is worth your time, so you have done the right choice. If it's a track of a conference, for example, you did the right choice by coming onto a presentation, right? So typically in many presentations, it happens that in the first few minutes, it also clarifies to you that you made a mistake. You are now just trying to sneak out of the room. It's just a matter of time. I think it happens many times, okay? And frankly, I think if you ask me, that's the most common occurrence, actually, in a conference. So in that opening thing, so if you have something interesting, right, all of that sort of makes a lot of sense. And then body, the main thing about the body. Anyway, so I think I'll conclude the point here and then come to the next point, which is that, see, in the opening, apart from gaining their attention and all of that, you tell them what you're going to tell them, okay? So which means you're going to tell them, hey, this is the agenda, so to say. In our case, it will be the agenda that we are going to follow, okay? I'll come back a little bit to that again, but you tell them what you're going to tell them, and the main presentation is tell them what you want to tell them, and then at the end, you tell them what you have told them. All right, it sounds like a repetition. It is, but this is a good way for you to structure your presentation, the opening, the body, and the summary. That way you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them. You'll come back and tell them what you tell them what the core is, and then you wrap it up and then summarize and say, hey, this is what you told you. It's a good way for you to basically convey the main point. Okay, it also assumes that you know the exact point that you want to convey, and it's a good way to do it. And I have seen many great speakers do it, and in my sort of very limited experience actually, but it is something that even very good presenters, strong presenters, they continue to use this. So I think it's a good way to do it. Okay, so far as let me see if I have anything more. Yeah, so just to add a little bit, this is where our overlap sort of begins, which is that, see, when you have an agenda, right, it's a great way for you to bring everybody on the same page as to what you're going to cover, okay, and the order in which you're going to cover as well, the scope of what's going to happen in the meeting, and also take on board something is missing that they have in their mind, instead of them having to pitch in a little later. Or many times what they'll do is they will interrupt you and they will sort of get their agenda going. So if you have an agenda, then it's a good idea to place it at the appropriate place. Okay, otherwise the client might just say, let's talk about this, and they will get going, which means that the structure of the presentation that you have is out of whack. It's already out of your control. So then, so far as the body is concerned, okay, and it's also a good idea for you to think about it like this, which is that you have, first of all, I think one of the, I'll just stay with the topic. So it is a good idea for you to think about, hey, these are the top 3 or 4 points I want to convey to the audience. Okay, so what would they be? So basically, if your presentation, if you are actually walking them through a specific tool, okay, then typically you may have, hey, these are the assumptions that I have, right? These are the things that we have done. This is how we have done it, and these are the results that we have, and whatever, this is the analysis, and these are the sort of broad conclusions. Okay, that's a decent structure. In some cases, depending on how you may want to do it, you may even front load some of these things. An example of this would be, let's say your main audience, okay, is the executive audience, etc., right? They really want to know what it is, right? You may quickly cover the assumptions and the the basic constructs of what how you have done it, right? The really core ones, and really get into the top conclusions that you would like to draw. Okay, if everybody is waiting for the results of your thing, of your analysis that you have made, then you might say, okay, hey, these are the broad conclusions we have gotten, and then we'll come in how exactly you went about doing it. But essentially there what you have is the assumptions, the main conclusions that you're drawing, and how you went about doing it. And if it were to be a typical conference presentation, you might actually start from, hey, the assumptions, how we did it, and some of the conclusions, because you are actually building up the presentation and so on, right? So in our presentations, when we are talking to the client, right, you might want to basically start off with, hey, this is broadly what we have done. Okay, we typically make this mistake, and I have seen this happening even when you are talking to me as well, right? So I also see coming and the meeting starts off with, hey, these are the problems that I faced. Okay, and the audience might go with the presumption that, hey, all that happened was this problem and nothing else happened. Okay, that is obviously not the case, right? So we will have to start off with, that's why I think if you have an idea of what you want to cover, then some of this will get resolved. And what you want to cover typically is the following. You have to start off with, hey, since yesterday or since the last week, whatever is the case, this is what happened. Okay, so you would cover point by point, and many of these things you are not I would say it's not like you don't know it, you know it, and you sort of presume that the audience sort of knows it, or you're unconscious that you want to convey to them. Okay. I'm not saying everyone, but it can happen, and so I want you guys to be conscious of. So if I were you, this is what we should start with. What are your achievements? What have you done? What have you accomplished? Because that's something that the audience is looking for all the time, right? So what have you done, right? So that's one thing. And so these are achievements. So for example, some time ago, Jairam has had, we solved those two problems. So that would be your achievement. So hey, these are the two things I've achieved. Though that's what you covered. And then what is the work done? Okay, this happened, this happened, this happened. It is not like the customer is super enthusiastic about what was the work done, but it is information that they need to know. Okay, they are obviously interested about the achievements, but they would like to know about the work done. And if you cover it, it will be useful for them. They'll say, okay, thank you, I got to understand what exactly you have done, and that's good, thank you. All right. And then you come to issues. Okay, we don't want to front load issues. Okay, that's the sort of main point that I would like to cover here. Okay, but otherwise, coming back to the main point here, so essentially you would have in the body basically say, okay, hey, this is the main takeaway, this is the main takeaway, this is the main takeaway, and then you go a little bit into depth of what you have done there. Okay. Okay, I think that's clear, guys, everyone. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that clear? Is that making sense? Yeah. Hopefully
Yes,
a little bit
yes.
of sense, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So one other main point that I would like to make here, which is also an area that we should improve, is you should have topic switching indicators. Okay. So like, let's say you are going from, let's say from Hyderabad to Mumbai, for example, right? So you're on the road, you're going ding ding ding, you're driving the car, right? So assume there are no milestones, assume there are no indicators to say, okay, this way to Kolkata, this way to Mumbai, right? And you take one wrong turn, what's going to happen? You'll end up at the wrong place, right? We don't want that to happen. So see, if you think of it, the audience is actually looking at you, right? They have no idea. So of course there is a screen, right? You may have shared your screen in time, but they have no indication which way we are going, right? So they are actually staring at the screen, and sometimes it is not like you have slide by slide, right? So in that case, the audience might be a bit lost in terms of when you have finished a topic and when you are going to the next topic. Okay, so you can actually tell them, okay, I'm done with this particular topic and I'm moving to the next topic. And when you do that, then they will know and they will feel like you're going on that journey with you. Okay, and they know that, hey, at this point in time we have got like maybe 2 lines. Instead of going to Kolkata, you are now going to Mumbai, which is, you're still on course to doing what you're supposed to do. Okay. And I feel this is an important point that some of us have to learn. So all right, so let me see what else I would like to cover. Okay, I hope you guys are able to see me right. Okay, so there is I think that point that I was making, I think I was just switching to it. Okay, I talked to you guys about the topic switching components, right? So you have to sort of indicate to the users, the audience, saying, hey, this is this particular topic, I'm going to the next topic, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there is one other topic that I wanted to cover, which is, see, when you have multiple topics when you want to cover, okay, so there is a concept called front loading, okay. So the way and the reason why you have to think about it is, in a way, the topics that you cover, and if you get into it without thinking about what you want to cover, it might happen that one or two of the topics might just eat up the whole presentation, and it may actually take you in the wrong direction. Sometimes you might even end up thinking, hey, I really wanted to cover this, I had really good things to share, but the presentation went in the wrong direction, okay. And that's because you started off with something that is either something that needed discussion, or something that is a bit controversial, something you thought, okay, it's a simple thing, we will just finish this, but the whole presentation, the whole time got eaten into that direction. Sometimes the executive that you're talking to might say, okay, I have got to run, the time is over, I got to go, okay. So eventually what would have happened is that we finished the discussion, right? We basically got into that discussion that we don't want to get into. The time is over, and that's it. The guy says, okay, I'm done. Okay, so eventually it's a failure, right? So how do you think of what to place first and what to place next? Okay, so you sort of rank order the topics in the following, using the following sort of criteria, right? Easier to difficult, okay, simpler to more complex, okay, and number 3 is less time taking to more time taking, and the 4th one is something that needs discussion, or for lack of a better term, controversial, something that will sort of create discussion among the team, or whoever is the meeting attendees, etc. Right? In those cases, it's a good idea to take the easier, simpler, and less time-taking, less controversial issues first, and then place the others a little later. Okay? It also depends on the importance, obviously, right? So what are more important, obviously, you want to cover, even though there are some other things which are simpler, easier, but if there's something that you want to cover for sure, that is also something you might want to take into account. So obviously you got to cover the more important stuff first. Otherwise, assuming that the importance is more or less same, then you would cover the easier, simpler, and less time-taking aspects first, okay? And then you go into the other aspects, okay? So that way, like I mentioned, you can sort of finish off some of the easier ones and then get to the more time-taking ones a little later, okay? Okay. I think I have more or less covered what I wanted to. I think there is only one topic that is left for me. Let me see if there is anything else that I would like to cover. So the last thing is the closure of the presentation. Okay. So during the closure, so typically, see, whenever we have our meetings, right? So there are a number of action items that it generates for us, and it's a good thing we are recording most of our calls these days, and that's a good thing. There's no problem with that. But I think the flip side of recording is that you might tend to not jot down what you're supposed to, your action items, that is, okay? So, and when that happens, you're not, motivated to really summarize. And I would say that's an issue. And we should actually jot down the points, and that will actually make you more alert as well. And towards the end of the presentation, you should actually relay back to the client, what the summary is, okay? What are the action items? So many of our clients would be very happy to hear that back from you, because leakage in terms of, not doing what we have thought of is a big issue in people, okay? And then you got to remind them back. See, we discussed this, you should act on it again, okay, we have to tell them. And that's not a good idea. A mark of an organized person is that they will jot it down, right? All the points in a good manner, okay? So note-taking is an art in itself, okay? So especially if there is a call that happened on Friday,
okay? And you basically just jotted down, the keywords, okay? And then you go back and think, hey, what happened? Luckily we have recording, but we used to have cases where somebody might, it happens. It's normal. I'm not saying, some of our team members were bad or something like that. I think, the nature of human being is that 84% of what you did yesterday, you forget it. This is the nature of human being, all right? And that's why people recommend that you revise, for your exams and so on and so forth, the same day, by the way. So basically, so over the Friday, you would have that call, and then you would jot down saying, if the topic is something, like you would just write one word or two words and so on and so forth, and then you will come back the next Monday and you're like scratching your head, what was the topic? I forgot, right? They might ask others and so on and so forth. And if it were just you in the call, or if it's not recorded, right, you're completely lost, okay? So that's not a good idea, and it is common across many people, and we don't want to get into that, okay? We always have to earn our respect. One is be alert, you jot down the points accurately, number one. And number two is at the end, you summarize the key points that are takeaways from the meeting, what we have to do, okay? And I would recommend, whoever it is, in the call, right? I want you guys to take the lead and do this, okay? This is your responsibility. Yeah. So that way, I think, so that's the conclusion, and then you would wrap it up, okay? And obviously, I think, there's a thing about pleasantries, okay? This overlaps much more with organizing a meeting rather than how you structure. But in the beginning and towards the end, I think it's a good idea to have some pleasantries. I think, you can see, Swap, Akhil, so what we have during our conversations with our clients, you will be able to see that, we do that during the beginning and ending, and that lays a good foundation for the rest of the meeting, so there's no nervousness, so there's no this client, consultant kind of a relationship that sort of melts down into, each of the people on the meeting, which is what it really is. And even though we have to be conscious that they're our clients, and so it sort of melts down. It's a little easier for us to conduct the meeting, okay? I think this is something that I think, so if I'm doing the pleasantries, it doesn't mean that, you guys have to sort of keep quiet. You can also sort of pitch in and chat and have a little bit of a quick conversation, right? And once that is over, move into the rest of it. And generally also after the meeting is over, if the client seems like they have a little bit of a time, engaging in a little bit of a chit chat, okay, as we close down the meeting is also a good idea, okay? Yeah, I think that is so far as what I wanted to cover. If you guys have any questions, we can take those questions now. Go for it, guys.
Chetan, it's not for the question is not for our meeting, it's on a general meeting. So when you have a large set of audience, and we know that audience concentration get lost after 2 to 3 minutes. So when you see them doing other stuff in their phone or looking somewhere else, so it's a distraction. So how to control yourself? When you get distracted, you lost your flow.
So, that's a good point. Yeah. So I think it is. I would see the problem as a different problem. Okay. So see, I want you to know that every audience, okay, they want to hear good stuff from you. They are there for a purpose. Okay. See, nobody spends time just like that. Okay. And I think it is. I think we have to know that in order to be in that position to present is a big privilege, okay, and a responsibility for us to present the right stuff, okay. And for that to happen, you got to prepare for it. See, we are in a very short attention span world, okay. You look at the average video of a forward. If you get a forward that is 1 hour long, okay, it's a YouTube video. Thankfully, it doesn't, you don't get 1 hour videos. But if you get a 1 hour video, maybe it's a YouTube video or something, technically it's possible, assume. Are you going to watch it? No. It is very likely that you will watch 1 hour. TikTok is a very good example, people. Why TikTok has been successful is lack of attention span. You want everything to happen in that short span of time. I don't know how long does TikTok allow you to upload videos?
They allow you to 1 minute, but mostly people just create of 15 seconds.
15 seconds, okay. 15 seconds, all right. We know, whatever they're throwing powder, whatever they're doing grab, it's all sort of captured in that camera. But people, sort of watch it. Everybody knows apparently there are sort of celebrities, TikTok celebrities who are sort of very good at it, right? So we are living in short attention span world, and not just that, sort of people, their phone rings, right? They got an SMS. Right, or WhatsApp. There are so many distractions that are possible. Okay, so it is not that you got to control yourself. The solution starts much prior with your presentation and also how you present it. Right. So take a 15 second. In 15 seconds, they want culmination. Right. Earlier it used to be like a 3-hour movie. Right. And some of it sort of gets to boring. Right in the middle. So there. Anyway, so it starts all the way then, and you got to keep the attention of the audience throughout. That is the responsibility of the speaker, right? So and how you do it? You do it by sort of having the right kind of content. Okay, you first prepare, right? You you make sure that the audience attention can be sort of, for lack of a better term, you can be maintained over the period of time. And you do that by giving the right kind of examples from your experience. Otherwise, right, essentially make it less boring, make it more interesting. If you are sitting in that audience, what would you like to hear? What are all the right things? I don't want to make it only flaky, okay, just, go for attention. But at the same time, you make it strong enough, okay, that they would want to listen to you. Okay. You got the point? Yeah. And that's the best way to do it. There's no better way than that. And obviously, so the more preparation, the more you know your audience, a lot of that preparation sort of comes in handy here to keep the attention. And also if you're poised, right? And if you talk a little slowly and ensure that they get it, right? And you're not just using like high sounding words, things like that, but you're really trying to convey meaning in every word that you're speaking, right? They are all like, yes, I want to listen to you because you're making sense to me. If I listen to you, it makes sense to me. Then why would I want to listen to you? You got the point, no?
Yeah.
So the solution is really there, right? So you don't have to control yourself. You have to control yourself prior in having the right kind of prep and all of that stuff, right? And also, bringing the right material, right? If you bring the right material, if you're sticking to the point, right? If you're covering depth, right, and they are getting benefited by it, they will all be ears to you because it all makes sense. And sometimes you also have to have certain amount of entertainment factor, right? The entertainment, if you're covering like really, I don't know, some philosophical stuff, for example, then you can make it light. If you make it light, you'll be able to keep audience's attention, right? So every time a joke helps, right? A joke, see, I'm sure, when I just scrolled up some of those screens that had some comic on it, I'm sure you guys wanted to read it there, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I know it, right? But I still skipped it because it was not relevant to the topic. Otherwise, I would have showed it to you. Yeah. So, but if you have a comic, comic is a bit of a plus and minus because it takes attention away from you. It is best actually if you have the comic maybe in the beginning or when you want to take a pause, right? It's a good idea to have that attention, towards that comic, okay? And not otherwise. Otherwise, it is actually, sometimes it can be a distraction, okay? So, yeah. So, I hope I have been able to answer at least some part of your question, Swap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, folks, other questions?
And you told about when we are changing the topics, so we should prepare. So, but if the topics are pole apart, so in that case, what would what kind of fillers we would have?
So see, when a topic is large, that's your question, right? When the topic is large, is that what your question?
Generally we make our presentation in a flow. Okay, so we have one topic that is talking about something else, and a second topic that is completely different from the first topic.
Okay.
So in that case, having a filler or having a connection is hard. So in that case, if I directly switch, it would be a problem.
No, so I would wonder why the topics will be that different. But in any case, so you can, so that's why you have this, I wouldn't call it a filler, but a topic switch indicator, right? Which is okay. You can say basically, hey, I'm done with this particular topic. I'm moving on to this topic. There's no problem. So if you don't have that indicator, right, and then you switch, that's when they will have a problem because, hey, you have been going in this particular direction and somehow you seem to have switched, you haven't indicated. And that's precisely why you need an indicator to say, hey, I am now going to, I'm still going to Mumbai, or I'm still whatever. Or now, say, until now we have gone to Mumbai, we finished Mumbai. Now I'm, sort of going to Delhi, maybe. I hope it's not that long, but I hope you got the point, right? That's precisely the reason why you need the topic switch indicator. Okay, to say, okay, I'm now switching topics. Okay, so mentally you make up your mind that, hey, I'm now going to talk about this one.